Beneath the surface of oceans and lakes lie shattered leviathans, monuments of steel, pride, and tragedy. At number 10, the SS Edmund Fitzgerald, the giant of the Great Lakes, shows how even inland waters can swallow a ship whole. At 9, the USS Arizona lies entombed beneath Pearl Harbor, a war grave that still bleeds oil and memory. At 8, the RMS Lusitania, once the largest liner in the world, vanished in just 18 minutes, a sinking that changed the course of World War I. At 7, the RMS Titanic, the most famous wreck of all, reminds us of hubris and heartbreak beneath the North Atlantic. At 6, her even larger sister, the HMHS Britannic, proved that even lessons learned from Titanic could not outpace fate. At 5, the Yamato, the heaviest battleship ever built, shows that no naval power is too mighty to avoid annihilation. At 4, the Doña, a modest ferry dubbed Asia's Titanic, became the deadliest peacetime maritime disaster in history. At 3, the Wilhelm Gustloff, the forgotten refugee ship, stands as the deadliest maritime disaster of all time. At 2, the MT Haven, a Mediterranean giant, left both ecological and industrial scars as one of the largest tankers ever lost. And at 1, the Stellar Daisy, the largest commercial wreck ever discovered, proves that even modern megaships are not safe from the ocean's grasp. These wrecks are not just ruins of steel and timber. They are frozen catastrophes, silent monuments, and eternal reminders that the sea never forgives. The SS Edmund Fitzgerald was a behemoth of freshwater shipping, stretching 729 feet across the Great Lakes and weighing over 13,600 gross tons. Launched in 1958, she was nicknamed the Queen of the Great Lakes. Yet on November 10, 1975, she met her fate in a violent storm on Lake Superior. With winds over 50 knots and waves taller than a house, Fitzgerald radioed her final words, "We are holding our own." Minutes later, the ship vanished. All 29 crewmen perished. When explorers later found the wreck, they discovered it lying in 2 enormous pieces on the lake bed, a silent reminder of how merciless freshwater storms can be. Her story lives on in Gordon Lightfoot's haunting ballad, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, making her tragedy part of North American cultural memory. Yet the cause of her sinking, structural failure, rogue waves, or human error, remains a mystery. On the morning of December 7, 1941, the USS Arizona was anchored in Pearl Harbor when Japanese bombers descended from the sky. A single armor-piercing bomb pierced her deck and ignited her forward magazine, unleashing an explosion so massive it lifted the entire ship out of the water. The Arizona was a battleship of 32,600 tons and 608 feet in length, but in just 9 minutes, she was gone. The death toll was staggering. 1,177 sailors and Marines lost their lives, nearly half the total U.S. fatalities of that day. Today, the Arizona lies where she sank, still weeping small drops of oil, known as the Black Tears of the Arizona. She is preserved as the Pearl Harbor National Memorial, a war grave and a symbol of sacrifice. Visitors look down upon her shattered hull, where 1,000 souls remain entombed, and remember the day that pulled America into World War II. When launched in 1906, the RMS Lusitania was the largest passenger ship in the world, 787 feet long and 31,550 gross tons. Luxurious, swift, and symbolic of British power, she seemed untouchable. But on May 7, 1915, during World War I, she was torpedoed by German submarine U-20 off the coast of Ireland. The Lusitania sank in just 18 minutes, dragging 1,198 passengers and crew to their deaths, including 128 Americans. Her wreck still rests on the seabed, tilted and broken, just off the old head of Kinsale. The sinking shocked the world, fueling outrage and shifting U.S. public opinion. It became a key stepping stone toward America's eventual entry into World War I. Even today, the Lusitania is remembered not just as a wreck, but as a political turning point where warfare at sea changed forever. No list of shipwrecks could omit the RMS Titanic, the most famous maritime disaster of all. At 882 feet long and 46,328 gross tons, she was the largest ship afloat when she embarked on her maiden voyage in April 1912. The Titanic embodied wealth and optimism, but on the night of April 15, 1912, she struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic and tore open her side. The unsinkable ship sank in just over 2 hours. 1,514 lives were lost, as lifeboats proved woefully insufficient. When explorers finally discovered the wreck in 1985, they found her lying in two enormous halves, 12,500 feet beneath the surface. The Titanic's story endures as a tale of hubris, heroism, and heartbreak. More than a wreck, she is a cautionary tale etched into history, reminding us of the arrogance of declaring mastery over nature. Few know that Titanic had a sister ship even larger, HMHS Britannic, measuring 48,158 gross tons and the same length of 882 feet. She was repurposed as a hospital ship during World War I, ferrying the wounded across the Mediterranean. On November 21, 1916, Britannic struck a German mine in the Aegean Sea. Despite safety upgrades after Titanic, she sank in just 55 minutes, faster than her doomed sibling. Miraculously, of the 1,066 people on board, only 30 perished, thanks to lifeboats and calmer seas. Today, Britannic lies on her side in shallow waters near Greece, remarkably well preserved. Divers call her the largest intact ocean liner wreck on the seabed, a steel ghost, whispering what might have been if Titanic had been equally prepared. If size is the measure of might, Japan's Yamato was the greatest battleship ever built. Weighing over 72,000 tons at full load and stretching 862 feet, she carried the heaviest naval guns ever mounted, 18.1-inch cannons capable of hurling a shell over 25 miles. But size was no match for air power. On April 7, 1945, Yamato set sail on a one-way mission near Okinawa, only to be swarmed by U.S. aircraft. After repeated bomb and torpedo strikes, she erupted in a colossal explosion that split her in two, killing nearly 3,000 of her 3,300 crew. The wreck of Yamato rests in pieces on the seafloor, a steel tomb that marked the end of the battleship era. Once a symbol of pride, it is now a relic of how quickly technology and war can turn giants into graveyards. Unlike the grand liners of the Atlantic, the MV Doña Paz was a modest ferry of just 2,600 gross tons. But what makes her infamous is not size. It is the catastrophic scale of human loss. On December 20th, 1987, she collided with the oil tanker Vector in the Philippines, igniting a firestorm at sea. The Doña Paz was hopelessly overcrowded. Though built for 1,518 passengers, she carried an estimated 4,000 people. When the flames engulfed her decks, panic ensured almost no escape. In total, 4,386 lives were lost, making it the deadliest peacetime maritime disaster in history. Dubbed Asia's Titanic, her wreck lies in shallow waters, a rusted reminder of negligence, corruption, and the price of overloading ships in pursuit of profit. While Titanic and Lusitania are remembered, the world often forgets the MV Wilhelm Gustloff, a German passenger ship turned refugee vessel during World War II. Measuring 684 feet and 25,484 gross tons, she was crammed with civilians fleeing the Soviet advance in early 1945. On January 30th, 1945, a Soviet submarine fired 3 torpedoes, striking the Gustloff in the icy Baltic Sea. Within an hour, she sank, dragging down 9,400 people. The largest loss of life from a single shipwreck in history. Most of the victims were women, children, and elderly refugees. The wreck lies silent beneath the Baltic, rarely visited. Yet it represents one of the darkest and least discussed maritime tragedies of all time. If sheer size is the measure, the empty haven holds her own as one of the largest wrecks ever found. This Italian oil supertanker measured 1,091 feet long and a staggering 109,700 gross tons. On April 11, 1991, while anchored off Genoa, Italy, an explosion tore through her tanks. Fires raged for 3 days before the tanker finally sank. Though most of the crew escaped, 6 sailors died, and a massive oil spill blackened the Mediterranean coast. Today, the haven lies in 3 colossal sections, still the largest intact tanker wreck accessible to divers. She serves as both a diving attraction and a grim case study in environmental catastrophe, showing how shipwrecks can scar ecosystems as well as human lives. At the top of our list is the MT Stellar Daisy, a modern megaship and ore carrier. At 1,059 feet long and weighing 148,431 gross tons, she dwarfs even Titanic. On March 31st, 2017, while carrying iron ore across the South Atlantic, she suddenly split and sank. Of the 24 crew, only 2 survived. The wreck was located in 2019, resting at a depth of 11,390 feet, or 3,461 meters. Despite her immense size and advanced design, investigators believe structural hull failure doomed her, proof that even modern giants remain vulnerable. The Stellar Daisy is the largest commercial shipwreck ever discovered, a stark reminder that even in the 21st century, the ocean still devours ships without mercy. From the frozen North Atlantic to the warm waters of the Philippines, from ancient liners to modern tankers, these shipwrecks are not just ruins of steel and timber, they are monuments to ambition, courage, error, and tragedy. Some, like Titanic, are cultural legends. Others, like Wilhelm Gustloff or Stellar Daisy, are little known despite their staggering loss of life or size. Yet together, they tell the same story. The sea never forgets. Every shipwreck is a warning, a lesson carved into the deep, reminding us that for all our technology, the ocean remains master of our fate. And still, the seabed hides thousands more wrecks, silent secrets of history waiting to be uncovered.